Hi, welcome to another episode of this amazing series that we're doing here at the Google DevFest. And what better way to start it than having someone from Google itself, Mr. Karthik Padmanabhan, who is part of Google India. Let's understand the role AI is playing in today's world, especially in the social space, and how Google has been leading AI and data for so many decades, and what's the plan for future. Let's go and talk to Karthik. Karthik, thank you for taking your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's an honor to be here.
Likewise,
Sure.
It's a pleasure to host you. So Google has been at the front, right? Google has been always known as this big giant that works with a lot of data and a lot of predictive analysis, right? Now with the advent of AI, things have just picked up supersonic speeds, right? So for you, what changed? You as an individual. So Karthik individually, what changed when AI settled in?
Sure. So Google, in fact, has been with AI for many years now.
Correct.
So this is not something which is new to us. So we've been, most of our products, right from search to Android, cloud, YouTube, have all been powered using AI.
Correct.
And the reason why these products are being the way they are so intuitive and so popular, they're popular because of the intuitiveness. And
Correct.
intuitiveness is because it's being powered by artificial intelligence on the back end.
Absolutely.
So we've been at it for at least a decade now in trying to incorporate AI, in trying to get consumers to use our products and get value out of it. So now what has happened is that over the years, artificial intelligence has always been there. It's not that it's just started 18 months back or 24 months back. It's
Right.
been there for decades. It's just that it started becoming more relevant today because everybody is interconnected. And because the fact that you're interconnected, you generate a lot of data. So as we speak, as I'm speaking, as I walk, I'm generating data. And so as consumers, we are all identified by the amount of data we consume and amount of data we generate, right?
Correct.
So there's a lot of data. And then now the cloud infrastructure has become so ubiquitous now. A lot of data centers, a lot of processing powers in the form of tensor processing units available. Algorithms are always there. Now data, algorithms, cloud processing power is able to analyze this data and give you insights in a flash of a second.
Correct.
To you anywhere on this planet. Yeah. So the use cases of AI has become pervasive now. So that's the new era which we all got into. From the internet era, we got into mobile. From mobile phones, we are getting into the AI era. Because everything is just kind of fallen in place for AI to become ubiquitous, AI to really help people in a positive way. So there are two uses of AI. One is you can have a lot of bad actors using AI, which can cause a lot of problems. You can also have a lot of good people who are using AI for the general upliftment of humanity, right? While there's a lot of technological advancement that's happened, but we also have to look at the world in a very balanced view. So we also have a lot of challenges. The human race is at crossroads today.
Correct.
Climate change is real.
Yeah.
People don't have visibility of what this planet Earth is going to look 20 years from now, 40 years now, 50 years from now. In spite of all this great advancement, we still have poverty. We still have illiteracy. In a great nation like India, still 80% of the people have monthly wages less than 20,000 rupees.
Correct.
So how can AI play a role in this? Is the question we all need to ask ourselves.
Okay. So I'm glad that you touched upon that topic, right? That with so much of technological advancement, there are still people who are living lives in a very conventional manner, in the conventional economic ecosystem, if I may call it, right? So there is, one is a corporate vision, which of course all the companies have. Okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and Google has been playing a lot of role. As an individual, Karthik, being a part of that corporate, being a part of Google, as an individual, I'm sure you must have been at a crossroad where you decided that do you want to go, or rather take AI to the more commercial space, or do you want to use it towards creating some social value, which in the long run will create a lot of value irrespective for all stakeholders, right? But then at that point, there is that short-term sprint or a long-term marathon. how did you decide that you would want to go the long-term marathon way?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So, so it's simple, right? So Google's mission has been to make sure that information is available, democratize information,
Correct.
and make sure it's accessible to everybody.
Correct.
That's been the genesis of Google, and that's been even relevant now, and it'll be relevant from here, right?
Forever, yeah.
So things keep happening. You had internet, you had mobile phone, now you have AI.
Correct.
But our mission doesn't change, right? So it's still, you have to make sure that people are able to democratize information so that people are having access to information. And information is very key.
Correct.
Why is information key? Like if you want to make farmers more productive, they need to have the right information at the right time. If you want people to downtrodden to come out of poverty, they need to have access to information, which actionable information, so that they're able to act on it. If you want people to find jobs, they need to have information on their fingertips. They can go out and find jobs, right? So all this, you have AI, which can power, using AI, the algorithms, the backend models, data, crunching it, you can make sure information is available to people, right? So let me take an example, very popular example from India is still a very, even though we have advanced in technology, we have great exports of technology, we have amazing startups that are using tech, still by and large, we are a very large portion of India is very agrarian.
Correct.
I think we have 40% of our population still indulging in agriculture practices, rightfully so, and 20% of the GDP is contributed by agriculture produce. So that means we still have a substantial amount of farmers who live, who thriving, and who also need to have a good productivity so that they are able to make money and live happily, right? So farm productivity is a big issue. And if you see, a lot of a lot of farmers are not making money, there are a lot of suicides because they're not able to make money, and there's a general tension, general crisis that's happening across the country. So how can AI play a significant role in increasing productivity of farmers? That's possible today because you have digital technology in the form of satellite imagery. You can basically take all the data up to a square inch of the farm and then figure out what kind of soil moisture is there, what kind of yield is there, and then juxtapose that with the information which the government collects at a gram panchayat level in terms of what kind of yield they have, what kind of produce they are producing, what kind of seasonal produce they put. So triangulate that information, you're able to give a lot of meaningful information, insights to farmers on their fingertips, so that their productivity goes up. So AI is here, AI can play a significant role in helping businesses increase their bottom line, businesses save costs, it can help consumers, it can help increase content consumption by consumers, it can help farmer productivity, it can help people find jobs, it can find people who have medical issues, find better health care. So it's the fabric, it's going to be the new fabric at which hopefully humanity is able to take advantage of it for the betterment of the general well-being of the humans.
I just want to, digress a little bit and take the conversation towards a very normal notion which started from the day AI became mainstream, right? Which is that whole Terminator thing, right? That AI is going to control and regular human beings are going to, be left behind. We're going to have job losses. Businesses are going to shut down. A lot of massive data privacy issues. And as you also touched upon, right, that there are going to be some bad segments of the society who are going to, of course, play around with the technology. It has happened with all the technological transformations that have happened. So for the next, say, 5 to 7 years, right, what remains, or rather, what is the key element of the security focus of the company? So when you look at Google, where is Google looking at in terms of securing the data that it processes, the data that it holds, at the same time giving the confidence to its enterprise and domestic customers that, don't worry, the same company that has been responsible so long will also keep the responsibility no matter how fast the tech moves?
Yeah, so data privacy, data security is at the forefront of whatever we do. At a consumer level, we make sure that cyber security, we make sure all our products are cyber security wise protected, because we don't want bad actors to basically make sure they manipulate user information, user data for something which is unnecessary and something which is illegal. So we want to make sure that data privacy is at the core of whatever we do, and will continue to be happening there. In terms of cyber security and security of basic information and things like that, we have a lot of encryption done.
Correct.
So that people are not able to, if without their access, without their permission, people are not able to get access to that information. So I think this is par for the course. A lot of companies who are in this business will make sure that happens. Over and above that, there will be certain misuse of algorithms, where people will come up with algorithms and then scrape some information which is generally available and start making some things which is illegal, or something which is not the norm, right? So that's where a lot of regulations come in, right? So I know for a fact that countries like India are really taking it up at legislation level, coming out with. So ultimately, you need to have law enforcement agencies to figure out what is illegal, what is legal, so that the bad actors can be punished and caught and punished, right? So there's a lot of reforms that has to happen at a legal level to make sure that you know what is right, what is illegal, so that these people are able to be immediately like taken action and stopped or arrested to make sure this doesn't happen, right? So there's a lot of reforms that's happening on that, and then we also contributing to that in a very significant way to make sure that we have the right range of legislation, not only globally but even at the India level, to make sure that the bad actors get punished and caught.
So Karthik, say there comes a pivotal moment wherein, and this is a very individualized question, you know, for a lack of better word, that you are at the cusp of making a decision wherein one is that you keep continuing in the stream of AI towards corporate and the whole commercial model. Second is the point that you touched upon, that you work at a policy level, you work with policymakers at the government level, at the legal level, to design and define policies to control anything going sideways, right? So the second approach is that. Out of the two, which one would you prefer, and why? Why would you want to go either ways?
So we would like to work very closely with the lawmakers of this country to make sure that we are able to share our point of view, because intrinsically we understand the technology, because our technology provides a platform as one of the options as a AI platform. And so because we know how it can probably get misused, and what are the scenarios and what are the possible ways things can get misused, right? So from that perspective, we want to be more like a consultating approach to give various scenarios and various options. But ultimately, there has to be somebody who's neutral. Like you have a technology, then you have users, then you have players, and somebody has to be there who is able to go beyond all this to make the law which is relevant to everybody, right? So I think that's happening. It's already happening. So we want to make sure that we are contributing to that in a significant way.
Okay. You've been in the system for quite some time, Karthik, and when all of us started our respective journeys, I'm not from the technical background. So when you started your career in technology, I started mine in services, whatever. The journeys were not so fast. The transformation would eventually happen, but not like overnight, right? But today is a time when you wake up every day in a different world. So for someone who's starting her or his career today, what inputs or feedback do you have for them so that they're able to, number one, keep up with the fast pace of the changing world, number two, stay relevant all the while doing it, and number three, able to plan their career, like how we were able to plan our careers. Okay, 5 years from now I'm going to be here, 10 years from now I'm going to be there. What advice would you give to this newer generation who's entering the corporate ecosystem now, so that they also can plan in a fast changing world?
I think it's today in the fast changing world, right? So a lot of myths has been dispelled, right? Like what is a job now? What is a career? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what a job is, what is a career, right? So it is not relevant any longer. What is relevant is your interest, your passion.
Correct.
Your
Very
willingness
important,
to
yeah.
do something.
Exactly.
So if you don't have interest, if you don't have passion, then what job? What
I like
career?
it, yeah. Correct.
Okay, so people have got forgotten the basics. People are not doing it because they're interested in doing. They're doing it because they'll find jobs. That's the whole premise is wrong. I'm doing it because I'll find a job.
It's a perspective
And you
shift.
become irrelevant. Somebody else will come because you don't have interest. Because of that, you don't generate a passion. Because you don't have passion, you're not getting good at it. You can only get good at something only if you're passionate.
Correct.
Okay, passion is the one which drives the engine. There's no passion, there's no outcome. I mean, world-class outcome. Like you will be just floating, and then something comes, you will get swept away.
Correct.
But people who have passion will not get swept away. They'll hold because they're good.
Correct.
So AI comes, people who are on the fringes will get swept away because you're doing it because you are doing it because you're not necessarily interested, but you're doing it because you want a job.
You want a job.
So that job gets replaced by AI or something else, right? So something which is better than you. So because you're not passionate, you're not getting better at it. So what's a sports person? Sports person every day wakes up to get up better at it, right?
Correct.
A singer, you're doing a podcast. You want to do next podcast, you want to do it better than this.
Of course.
Because you're passionate about it.
Correct.
How many people are thinking of their work like that?
It's a very deep question. Correct.
Huh?
No, and I agree, right? We need to bring in that perspective shift.
Yeah,
that
so you have to take your job like as a passion.
As a passion.
So your premise itself is wrong, right? So you do a education because you want to find a job. You don't do education because you want to pursue your interest. And you don't need to educate yourself to find a job, because those days are gone. You don't need to.
Correct.
You don't need to do a college degree and all that. It's waste of time.
Correct.
You'll find a job if you're good at it, or the job will find you if you're good at it.
The job will find you. No, very, very well said. Very well said.
Yeah, so you have to focus on how you can get better. First of all, you have to focus on what you're really interested in. You have to first focus on what you're good at, what you're not good at. You have to deeply, it's not philosophy, you need to deeply understand yourself. You need to understand your likes, your dislikes. What are your core strengths? What are your weaknesses? Is the weaknesses going to harm you, or is the weaknesses you can overcome? Or let me focus on my strengths, let me get better at it. So nobody really spends that time. Everybody is running, right? So everybody seems to be in a hurry. I don't know for what.
I also keep asking that question, that where are we heading as a human race?
You can't really run long enough.
Correct.
On the same place. After that you'll get tired, and then so you might as well take a break from all this running around, understand yourself, because see, for me, I only can take care of myself. Nobody else can take care of myself. If I don't know myself, then how can I take care of myself?
As simple as that.
So I have to spend time understanding myself, right?
Correct.
And I'm not saying not like I'm good in math, I'm good in science and all that, but what are the traits I have? Do I have patience? Do I have empathy? Am I compassionate? Am I have the perseverance? Can I spend time to solve problems over a longer period of time? How do I inculcate this? So basically, it's all finally boiling down to characteristics of a person, and how do you improve yourself as a person, right? So that's the bottom line. So once you are able to get all these traits, then any skill is just a commodity. You can pick anything you want. You can pick, and then you can drop it also if you don't like it, because after some time you get bored with it, and then you move on to something else. You're doing podcast now. Tomorrow you might want to do a video. Day after tomorrow you want to build a game. But then the core is yourself. The core is so strong that you can pick whatever you want.
Correct.
And then you get bored, you can move on. So you have to develop that. You have to develop that in yourself to basically survive in this world. Like for instance, so I'll give you an example, right? 10 years from now, you just walk around saying you're an IT engineer, you'll get grabbed. Chalo, come.
Correct.
So now, nobody entertains. You go to the knock on their gate also, they say, no, bhag ja.
Correct.
Because they say, if you are good enough, I'll come. I know where you are. You sit in your dormitory, in your PG, in your house, I'll figure out, I'll come to you. You don't need to come to my door.
Correct.
Before, these guys used to go to door to door and knock on every campuses, aja, test le lo, come, ye le lo, bus mein baith ja, training karo, naukri mil.
Correct.
Now they say, no, when we need, we'll know who we want, we'll come to you. Correct. So that's the change that's happened in 10 years.
Times have changed.
So that's because of technology and all that. So what do you need to do? You need to focus on yourself, right? You need to focus on yourself, you need to develop a passion, interest, and then let your work speak for itself.
Correct. In continuous to what you just mentioned about depth and understanding your own self, right? So there are two aspects that I look at, and I just want to ask my next two questions around it. One is, I really want to go deep and focus to bring out world-class output, which traditionally all of us have been growing, throughout. I want to do that, but because of technology or social media or whatever kind of different pressures that we, fancy words that we use, I'm not able to. I am being pushed to run. I am a marathoner, I'm being pushed to go for a sprint. So that's one. Second is, because of the advent of technology, because of the speed of the tech, AI by default has been labeled to give shallow output. Now people don't understand that it's eventually people operating AI and getting the shallow work done, which means I am not at depth. My output also will not be at depth. Technology is just an enabler, right? Yeah. So from these two perspectives, what are your opinions on, opinions is the wrong word, but how do you perceive these two things? If I want to go deep in a fast changing world, how do I do that without distractions? And then number two, even when I'm going deep and I'm working with a technology that is known to bring out shallow output, how do I go deep there?
So it's a great question. So one is for you to go deep and for you to make sure that you're not getting distracted with whatever noise that comes in, right? So you need to basically make sure that one, you need to have that interest and keep stoking that fire in you, right? So that is the ultimate. That's the foundational for anything you do. If you're not interested in what you're doing, then whatever you do, you will get distracted. So first, foundational is to figure out if you're interested. If you're not interested, just don't do anything. It's because doing things for the sake of doing is waste of time, waste of energy.
Absolutely.
Because you might as well sit and not do anything. But if you develop an interest towards something, then you will start going deep in it. And once you start going deep in it, you will, it's like this, right? So there are two kinds of people. One who are constantly using social media to get gratification of what they're doing. Like for instance, so everything becomes a vlog, everything becomes something what they're doing. They become so very
postable.
So insecure about themselves.
Correct.
That they feel that they need this external gratification. Otherwise, they feel depressed. That last time this post got me so many likes. This time it's got less. Correct. So they get confused. Am I doing the right thing or wrong thing?
Exactly.
But once you develop an interest into something, then you go deep, and then you can still use social media to basically put something out there to get feedback from the like-minded people, so that you're able to get feedback, and then you only take feedback which is relevant to you, and then you build in a system within you that any feedback which is counterproductive, you just dissociate yourself with that. So you have to figure out a way to use social media in a much more stronger way. Like for instance, 3 years back, I didn't know anything about sustainable living. I didn't know anything about farming 6 years back. But I use social media effectively to become a full-fledged farmer. I use social media to become a net zero fellow now. And I'm a climate change activist.
Awesome.
All this is sitting on my couch using social media to basically get there.
Correct.
So, but then I also use social media for entertainment, for me to spend time. But then it's also a lot of self-discipline, right? So you can just use social media just for that, and then and then it can, after a point, it gets depressive, right? So you have to figure out how to use technology. Similarly, AI can be used for good, but you can use AI to basically, bring things down from a humanity perspective, or generally cause a lot of harm and destruction, right? So the idea is that how do you basically do things in a way that you're able to get things. So finally, it boils down to things that you have to work on yourself. So you have to work on yourself to make sure that you figure out what you're good at, what are you really interested in, what keeps you ticking, why do you want to do it. If you don't do that, what will happen to you?
What will happen?
And then stop looking outward, right? So you have to become very selfish. Unfortunately, people are not very selfish. People are always looking for what others think about them. So you're always, when you grow up, you're always waiting for gratification from your peers, from your parents, from your relatives. Then you suddenly move to friends, and then friends, and then you become unknown people you don't even know. You'll like somebody comments, you'll take it very seriously, either good or bad, right? And so where is that all headed to? In a way that you suddenly start living for others. You forget what your true calling is, or true likes or dislikes is.
Correct.
So you have to really understand yourself. You have to be very selfish about yourself. When I say selfish, like you need to, like for instance, if you're going in an aircraft, right? They say first you put the oxygen mask to yourself before you help others. So basically, the reason is that if you're not in a happy space, you can't even help others. You'll become a liability.
Correct. Right.
And so if you're not in a good centered space, you will not be able to do it. If you took anybody, right, you randomly pick anybody who is successful. You will find out that that person is centered. That person knows his or her strength very well. They are very grounded. So that is the mandatory. They may not come out like that when you look at social media and all, but if you just pick the surface and go deep, they'll just be very grounded, very rooted. They know themselves very well.
One thing that really fascinated me during our last bit of conversation, Karthik, is you work in AI, and you've been a technologist for quite some time, and you're also a net zero fellow. Now, AI gulps a lot of energy in form of water, electrical, internet, whatever, right? Let's just keep energy. How do you, so you basically, working at two extreme ends of reality, right? One is ekdam majboot energy consumption. Second is absolutely net zero, right? How do you switch or shuffle between both of this? One is your moral responsibility, one is your corporate responsibility. So how do you balance both?
So one of the primary reasons I chose to work for Google is because we have made a commitment by 2030 we'll be net zero. So that means we'll be carbon neutral as a company. For every query that is fired from your phone or anywhere on Google, that will be zero carbon emission.
Awesome.
By 2030.
Awesome.
So we're already getting there. All our cloud centers, all our data centers are powered by renewable energy. All of them are powered by renewable water. All the cooling happens through renewable water.
Water. Fantastic.
So we are already there, and all our food waste is taken care of as far as Google is concerned. All our transportation is mostly on electric vehicle. We have a chief sustainable officer. One of the few companies globally has a chief sustainable officer whose only KRA is to make sure that how we are progressing by making Google net zero by 2030. We're already there. All our data centers are globally powered by renewable energy. All of them, all the cooling happens through water sources, which is again renewable, right? You're not wasting that water. That water gets reused for other purposes. Right. So these are the two big things that happens as far as data center is concerned. Of course, the other one is in terms of silicon and all that, which we still have some distance to go in to make sure that we're able to get the right kind of replacements for that. But we are getting there. And like I said, by 2030 we will get totally net zero. We're already there. We're in high percentages in terms of net zero, but we'll get there. So that also gives me a great opportunity to pursue my passion of being net zero, because a lot of things I do along with AI is also understand how the business of Google is running in making sure that it becomes sustainable, right? So such a big company, if it's not practicing sustainability, then it's going to be a baggage on this planet, right? And so, but it's not the case. So we are getting there to make sure it happens. In this whole process, we are also learning and using technology to go ahead and do that. You look at our sustainability. We have Google Earth Engine now, which is available for you to figure out how we're able to do air quality. We are doing the air quality thing in Delhi, where our sensors are able to tell the air quality levels there, and also give you a forecast of what the air quality is going to be in few weeks from now, so that you're able to take proactive action. If you look at Google Maps, which is a very simple thing, you can figure out the most sustainable way of traveling from one place to one. If you use Google Flights, again it gives you carbon emission for the flight traveled. And so you can figure out, plan yourself to make sure that what is the least way to emit, what is the best option for you to emit zero carbon. So all our products, whatever, be it Google Maps, be it Google Earth Engine, we are making sure that it's also not only enabling general people, but also people who are passionate about climate change and following net zero practice can use it. Like for instance, when you do a Google search, we have tagged all the eco-friendly, responsible tourism places in a way that you'll be able to easily spend places where you can go and if you want to spend a good time with having a good meal or spending a time as a tourist, you can go to places where you can eat or dine or enjoy as a tourist by creating less carbon emission. All that information is now available on Google. Yeah. So that's the way we are working towards that. And so, yeah, so it's a logical thing for me to become a net zero, because I work in a company which is passionately driven about making things very sustainable for themselves as well as for the users, and globally for us as a globe.
One thing that I have not seen happening, Karthik, is what you just mentioned right now, right? I also was not aware that, okay, so one is you publish a statement by 2030 we are going to go carbon neutral, right?
No, we give an audit every year. We give a report of where we are on that. You can Google. You can just do Google sustainability. You'll find the report now. For this year, where are we? And what is our next year progress, and how we are actually getting there.
Great. Where I'm coming from is that this is at the corporate level, right? But to the general public, folks who are sitting here, all of us, right? Day-to-day lives, it's not reaching us. So the general perception that's being built on the ground.
So how did you come to work today?
I travel by car.
Fossil fuel.
Fossil fuel.
I walked. I did my morning exercise. I got down to the airport. From the airport, I came here. I had an 8-kilometer walk because I couldn't do my walk, which I do every day. So I said, "Chalo, Pune mein jaake walk karta hu."
Great.
It's the choices you make.
Correct.
It's just the choices you make.
Awesome.
You need to walk your talk.
Right. So
that's the choice I've made. I said, "Boss, I'm taking an early morning flight. If I had not taken the early morning flight, I would have taken my dogs out for a walk." So I said, "चलो फ्लाइट में जाके walk करता हूँ, पुणे में बढ़िया मौसम है, इससे और क्या मौसम हो सकता है? Let me enjoy this thing." So I emitted less carbon. So how do you think I'll go back? I'll look for a metro option. Google Maps में दिखता है, public transport.
correct. Yes.
That's a choice you make. You need to wind up your meeting half an hour before, so that you know metro में इतना time ज़्यादा लगता है, instead of hailing a cab. You're accountable for yourself.
Great. So the carbon neutrality that we're focusing on achieving, right? How can a general citizen contribute
You can
towards?
do that. Glad you asked me that question. So ask me that question, how much was I spending 6 years back for me to run a family? How much are I spending now? Ask me that question.
So how much were you spending 6 years back?
So let's say hypothetically I was spending 1 lakh to run my house. Now I spend around 10,000-12,000 rupees.
That's it?
That's it.
90% reduction?
Because I practice sustainability. And my family is also practicing sustainability.
How old is this cloth? 3-4 years?
Some 8 years, 9 years. This I don't know when I've been wearing this. This shoe has been 8 years. I don't use any products on myself. You must be using a lot of products on yourself, because for me this is like God-given gift. How can I use chemicals on my body?
Correct.
How many chemicals you use on your body?
No count.
No count.
Correct.
I don't use, even if I use chemical, I think twice. Chemicals all money, no?
Correct.
It will cost you money. And then you buy money to drug yourself more.
Yeah. And what are some other best practices that you follow, or which?
Sir, just have to follow kuch best practice nahi, sir. It's all about money. Figure out how you reduce your costs. You'll become healthy, you'll become rich, and you'll pollute the earth less. Just focus. That is in your control. कितना पैसा आता है आपका कंट्रोल में नहीं है. What you spend is in your control.
Is in our control.
So you focus on that. Focus on the controllables. It's always the choices you make of buying a product.
Great. Thank you, Karthik.
Thank you.
This was a delightful conversation.
Thanks.
And I look forward to many more.
Absolutely.
Around and about sustainability primarily, because
absolutely.
that's an area where I'm also now inclining very deeply towards. So thank you for taking out time. This was delightful. I look forward to speaking to you again.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.